Call meeting to order. 39. Tracy and Jim was not here. No public comment as of now. So I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the July 30th.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And I'll just note for the record that beyond the minutes of the meeting, we also have attached the handouts that we had at the last meeting. The handouts will be modified as we go along, but just for anybody who wants to keep record of what's happened. So with that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All set. Updates on soil testing and wetland.
Same update as last time, we're expecting. Targeting completion by the end of this month, gathering all the records for Jacobson and Associates to process.
That was huge, having, the town step up,
Yes,
and again, we have the resources, we have assets in place, this is gonna move, I think.
yes.
Jacobson sounds positive.
Yes, and it's very similar to the Main Street study, so
Are
process.
they ahead there?
people understand.
Did I misunderstand? I read that, are they ahead on where they are, Jacobson is on Main Street?
They are, when you say ahead, they have been doing the work on that before our stuff.
Right,
So
but they're moving, but they're ahead of schedule.
I don't know if they're ahead.
I heard that.
I just meant they're ahead of us.
Okay, yeah, I
This
don't, okay,
process.
never mind,
Yeah, there's a grant, and there's a deadline, so
okay.
I'd assume that be.
I just took that as, I know that they're ahead of us in the queue, but I just, my understanding, I may have misunderstood. Yeah,
And Casey, the shorthand that was just coming from across the table is we, through Jacobson, we submitted to the folks upstairs land use the 45 properties that we wanted to take a look at. Chris had thought it was gonna take about 4 weeks or more to get it done, but she put some other stuff aside, made this a priority, staff person worked on it, and the information's already been returned to Jacobson.
Oh.
So that's good.
That's amazing.
So we're very happy with it. Okay, so but we have not heard from Jacobson about what's happened with the health district, because they were also gonna be getting.
All right.
health district.
Yeah. So we'll just need to check with them on it.
Yeah, before the next meeting, we'll check with them.
All right, on the business and property owner outreach and communications, we are kind of on hold, waiting for some of these activities that are underway to begin to materialize sufficiently to be able to talk about them. So that's where that is. And on streetscape, we are in the same place we were 2 weeks ago, which is Jacob's working on it. The subcontractors provided the information, and so I'm hoping that by the end of August, we will have some data to then go over with Jacobson in September. So that's good. All right, with that, we will move on to our design stand discussion. We left it last time with working on the uses with Doug and Abe, the committee, which was really Doug's homework, which he has done. So Doug, take it away.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so Chris, you were not at the last meeting, So what we did, so I'm gonna go over this globally rather than line by line. I'm not sure we have time to go through it line by line. And you have both versions, you have the version we had last time, so this, I started with a spreadsheet Bruce had created when we kind of had the vote. What we thought should go there, you know, consistent with all the studies and what we didn't feel was appropriate, so that's what I started with, and that data is still in there, the votes column. It was kind of in a. It wasn't really sorted in any manner. So we went through maybe like, the first page, line by line, had a lot of good discussion, and then one of the follow-up actions was to sort, you know, by categories. So you can see the first category is marine related, so. You know, I'm not gonna read all of this, I'll just paraphrase, but you get boat docking facilities, sales, storage. Fueling, supply storage, chandlery, a pier, sail loft, and water dependent commercial uses. So the blocks highlighted in yellow are changes. And for example, boat sales in the B4 district used to be SE, which was special exception. And we're proposing, you know, it's like right here, we're proposing to make that permitted. You know, why wouldn't it be permitted in the marine? In Mariner's Way. You know, marine supply store, ship chandlery. We're making it permitted across all the zones because it's Mariner's Way. Again, this is a draft for discussion. This is throwing paint on the wall and everybody gets to rearrange it. You know, this team, and then I'm sure it'll go through zoning and 100 other people and public comment. So this is just for discussion. So some of the other changes, you know, like a sail loft, okay, that could be in the industrial zone and the B4 zone.
We know what a sales loft is. Is that a storage?
Yeah, a sail loft, there's one in Westbrook where they actually, you know, it's got a huge table and they cut the sails. Well, you probably know that, where
I
that
don't
is.
know as much as my husband does, but I think they probably also, do they also do like sail repairs and things
Oh,
like
yeah,
that?
they do
Yeah, that's
repairs, so
what
they can take a
that's what-
huge like spinnaker and lay it all out, and they got big sewing machines, so.
Just had that
Yeah,
done.
I took a pool cover over there to see if they could salvage
Yeah.
it, they took a good look at it, but gave me the thumbs down, but, yeah, so it's. That's what a sail loft is.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so, you know, where there are no. Indications, if it's silent, you know. You know, there's the potential we could make it permitted, or we could add something there, but I think if it's not included, then it's not allowed.
So I'm going to slightly amend your work, which was really done a great job in organizing. And stand back and say, just as you were just saying, if you take the column A, which is, you know, all of the different activities. And then effectively, we've got, you know, we can see where we stood with those, with the votes column. But then I think it's really just a matter of, do we want these activities, you know, either permitted, special exception, or prohibited within, not so much by virtue of industrial zone, marine industrial zone, B3 and B4, but just in Mariner's Way. So it's almost like I would, you know, you almost have it set up perfectly with the, you know, the P, instead of the C being industrial, having C being permitted, D being, you know, special exception, and E being prohibited or something along those lines. But I agree with you. There's nothing in marine that we wouldn't want to see in Mariner's Way. Said more positively, we first cut everything in that is, the town is used in marine areas we would permit in Mariners Way.
Right, the one special exception you can see here down the bottom is. You know, water dependent commercial use, expanded facilities, that, it sounds a little gray, so maybe that's why the special exception. Oh,
But this, just, and shut me off if I'm missing what you're saying here, Bruce. What you're talking about, and again, this is marine, so if I'm looking at marine, and here's the things that we can do in marine. Doesn't matter whether it's industrial, marine industrial, B3, B4, any other stuff. What matters is whether it's what we're gonna call right now permitted or special exception.
Correct.
Those are the two
In the new. zone.
designations
Yeah, in the new zone that we're creating.
that we're creating.
Or it could be something could be, we're not allowing it in theory.
Or, okay, right, or, right, unallowed, or X, or whatever, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So we really, so what you're saying is, and the votes are good because that helps us, at least we keep our thought process going along here. But really, we're talking about is that there's no need for that top line. Leave the comments, but keep the concept of permitted, special exceptions. And I'm gonna, Casey, what do you wanna say for
I would just
Not
say
permitted.
not permitted, we would just leave it
Next.
blank.
just blank, okay?
Yeah.
Or do you want,
yeah,
Some
we
of-
could take
so-
the X out,
okay,
Well, so as sort of an aside, the way old Saybrook zoning regs are written. Well, all zoning regs, as you know, if it's not expressly permitted in some way, it's prohibited.
right,
But the old Saybrook regs also explicitly call out certain prohibited uses,
Right.
which I don't really think is necessary,
Let's not do
but
it.
so the X indicates, I think.
Okay,
It's explicitly prohibited in that underline, whatever that exists.
so let's take,
We don't even have to do.
let's do it
We
right,
don't even have to do.
let's do it right then, and not use it, right?
Yeah.
Know what
I
I'm
said
saying?
leave
it
it
could
blank.
be, it could be. Like in the affordable
Clarification.
housing arena now, there's some rules by the state that says unless it's specifically prohibited by the town, a developer can. You know, I think it's off-street parking, so we came up with some parking rules for the town that the developers have to respect, so.
It may also be, I don't know this, that's just a guess. In some towns, I know that's been done when there were use variances being granted and by explicitly prohibiting it, it was like a stronger argument against a use variance to allow those explicitly prohibited uses.
It's a
But it
good
doesn't really-
proposal, I would say, I'll just talk to Chris and
Yeah.
maybe Mark on planning, just to see if there's any
I would,
historical basis.
I kind of go back to what you were saying and actually use this as an opportunity. To just, it's either permitted or it's permitted by special
Right.
exception, or it's not because it's blank,
Right, right.
Right,
And
right?
then zoning can decide if there's something they want to explicitly prohibit.
Does that make sense? I'm not
Yeah,
trying to.
yeah, no, that's,
no,
yes.
no, your words are better than mine. So that's
Okay.
okay, so that's marine.
so
One
then,
thing can I bring up one thing about marine,
Sure,
the boat storage? So there are, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly,
there's boat storage now in more than the marine industrial area.
right, but that's not what I'm talking about. So for the future. I think some of those boat storage places may be, I mean, they're all non-conforming, I think. Some of them may have started out illegal and sort of rolled into non-conforming over time. Maybe they have variances, maybe they predate the current zoning, I don't know. It doesn't really matter because they're there.
Yeah,
Um,
sure, they're all
They're grandfathered.
legit now.
But for future uses, I think I just like, we will talk a little bit in the next discussion about, or the next section about outside storage and things like that, but I think we just want to keep that in mind, because I don't think we want like boat storage, free
Everywhere.
floating boat storage, right? But there are limitations in place that require it to be screened or behind buildings and things like that.
Right, so
So I
right
just think that's
now,
important to keep in mind.
like, and the reason this block here is gray under industrial, because in my notes from the last meeting, I had a circle around it.
Okay.
But I didn't know where we ended up, but I think. we just wanna permit it in the marine industrial, right? We don't wanna really expand it in the industrial.
No, I think we wanna permit it in the whole new zone.
Everywhere.
We'll
Right.
permit it in the new zone, but we will talk about
Screening
In the
and
next
location.
We wanna put it ease all the way across,
right.
So
And
I think
cause that
maybe
could take a lot of space.
what you could do is. Where the comments column is maybe turn that into our future zone. Column and go down and put P, SE, P,
Yeah.
blank, whatever we're gonna do.
You just
well,
call it-
I thought you were gonna say some, Casey and I are right on the same line. In comments. Let's just identify, there are certain things that we would. Be delighted to have along Mariner's Way, but not necessarily. All the way, just what you said, so something like boat storage, yes, permitted within the new zone. However, if there may be a subzone that is allowed in and a subzone that is not allowed in.
Or it's special exception.
Something along those lines. So I don't know how to ask that in the comments or make note of that in the comments, but to me, that would be a good use, because we're, particularly when we get into some of the housing issues and stuff like that, that's gonna be, do we want this housing across the board, or do we want it, in a limited way, those kinds of questions.
What if we added in a small column that was like future zone or Mariners Way zone or whatever? And then keep the comments so that we could say like permitted, and then we could say permitted, and then have a comment that says like.
Yeah, I got a
May only be
permit
in certain
across
areas.
future, permit across future special zone.
Permitted, or permitted and up, permitted in Mary's Way.
Right, yeah, I mean.
And we can look at that as
Whatever
we
the
go
zone is
through,
gonna be, yeah,
because we don't know where they're gonna pop up.
right.
Okay, so I got a comment in there, so I'll do that. I'm marking mine up, I'm not typing it around.
Yep, no,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next category, it's pretty broad, business. So, again, yellow are the changes, so it was special exception for adult entertainment in the B4. I just put it back, not allowed,
Can I ask a question here?
yes.
So it's business, and we're talking, this is really the Mariners Way zoning for, even though it's for discussion. Why don't we just take it out?
Yeah, it could come out, but what this is, it's kind of like a roadmap, so say when zoning reviews it and the Bob Friedmans, that know the stuff inside out. He can look at it and say, where'd that go? And he can see it's coming out. I mean, I can take the X out, and I'll just strike out the whole line. But because it's in the zoning regs now, I just want them to see, they're gonna wanna see what are you changing?
Yeah, is there a way to do this almost like a red line?
Yeah,
Where-
well, that's kind of what I have going, but I can strike this out. I
Yeah,
can strike
because
this whole line out.
Cause if I can follow up where Chris is at, we say, okay, yeah, this is in the zoning regs, but. We don't wanna have it as part of the Mariners Way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
So, however it is that we can show that.
yep, I can do that with strike out. Okay. So continuing down, business and professional office, we would permit that in the B3. Which is the transitional residential, it's the small piece. We talked about that last week, car dealership. No, in the B4, I don't know if that enterprise, I don't think that's defined as a car dealership, I mean, we have the auto. Mall area, so we don't need it in the B4.
Yeah, to me, whatever you're gonna do with adult entertainment, I do the same thing with car dealership.
Right,
They really, again, we have in this town, we have an auto mall section, we're very fortunate to have.
right, and it's very.
And it's
Well,
there,
yeah.
and you know what they're gonna do? And they're starting to do it, they're gonna go across the street and they're gonna keep going,
Right,
which is fine.
right.
Right, but I think we wanna make this like the marine version of that and other
Yeah.
things, not.
Yeah.
But, yeah, right, you're delete, whatever you're gonna, yeah, I think that's right, Doug, whatever you're gonna do to.
So would we keep automobile service station, or does that come out too? That's a gas station, basically, or.
Well, there are gas stations there. There's rules in Old Saybrook, they have to be so far apart from each other. I mean, the two that are there, the Shell and the Gulf, they're really close, but I think anything else has to be like at least a mile away. Don't quote me on the distance, but that's to prevent, Boston Post Road being all gas stations.
So if, going back to the Mariners Way zone. And Casey helped me on this, my understanding would be if we went forward and created a Mariners Way zone. And we did not permit automobile service stations. Current service stations that are there would be grandfathered,
Correct.
but now. Joe wants to sell his service station. Can he sell his service
Yes.
station and
Yes.
still be a?
The use,
Absolutely.
the use runs with the property, not with the people,
Oh,
not with the business.
The use
But
is
they-
a legal, pre-existing, non-conforming use.
But if it's not a permitted use in this zone. Anymore, in the new zone, so it'd be allowed to continue as is, no problem. It would not be able to expand.
Or intensify.
Or, right, or intensify, right, exactly, so unless there was like a variance or something that so if that particular gas station wanted to add pumps or wanted to make its, I mean, the retail component, they could expand because that'd be a permitted use in the zone, so it'd really just be adding pumps or like if they do repairs, adding more repair bays or something like that. They wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, that to me would seem to be a strikeout for the same reason as car dealership.
Yeah.
Right.
What's there is there, and whatever, there's not gonna be another one there, whether it's a mile away or.
And that,
5
right,
miles away.
right, and that would also obviously prevent any new ones on new locations.
Yeah.
If
Okay,
something,
so this. Each of these sections, they're sorted in the first column, alphabetical order. So you can also see down below is gasoline station, so the service station and this gasoline station, like you have that Baldwin Auto, that's service, then you have the Shell, that's gasoline. So do we wanna strike out both?
Yep.
Yes,
yeah. So service is more what, like oil change type.
Right,
Yeah, like the Valvoline and all the other stuff.
okay.
We already have enough.
So this business and professional office, we have, permitted in the
Yeah.
B3, but everywhere except the marine industrial.
well, so we will permit it in the Mariners Way zone. And then we'll sort that based on. How everything else falls out.
Yeah, so the only thing that bothers me when you talk Mariners Way zone. Like this, we've talked before about marine industrial is protected along the water and they don't want housing. Probably not professional offices, medical offices, etc. It's gotta be marine uses, so I don't think we can go to one zone.
But I think last time we concluded that none of the properties we're looking at are in the marine industrial zone. The marine industrial zone was northeast,
Oh, well-
except for the backs of a few of.
Yeah, the lower part down here.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we really want.
Okay, so if we're talking about one zone, we're talking about B3, B4 and industrial and not
I think we're talking about all four.
Well, we are, but I think,
We can't really touch the marine
well,
industrial.
what I'm saying is you can't have one zone for all four and say.
Oh, that's the one, that's the, oh, yeah.
You can't put houses in there.
yeah,
So we're talking about industrial, B3 and B4 are now gonna be the MW zone.
Possibly.
right, and,
Because otherwise, changes that we would make would impact other I.
Yeah, just as a draft,
zones.
yeah.
Okay,
and so the,
okay.
going back just to this idea, is I've now got the map geo in front of me. We would basically leave marine industrial the way, that the properties there the way it is. then as we looked at development opportunities moving forward, we would either come back for a variance or a special exception, right? Is that kind of the way you leave it, but that doesn't mean it will never be touched. It just means we're not touching it right now.
Right, someone
You
could
could
come
add
in,
other things to it.
well, and right now, without. We can't have any further discussion about this because it's a pending application before zoning, but right now there's an application before zoning to create a Mariners Way redevelopment zone. So that will be.
It's not
applicable.
Mariners Way.
I mean, not Mariners Way, Marine Industrial Redevelopment Zone,
Right.
sorry. So that will be something that exists, that potentially, you know, depending on what happens in zoning, potentially exists out there to impact some of those properties. In the same way, someone else could come in to either modify the marine industrial zone or change the zoning on a certain property or something.
Interesting. You're right. So if they do go for it as a floating zone, one could then drop the floating
Drop the
zone
floating
in
zone.
that area.
Right,
Very interesting.
Yeah, or if we had the marine industrial, just making us up, Mariners Way, yeah, we can tailor it like we want.
Okay, all right. I think we're all,
Okay, I think we're in alignment. So I think we're down to like funeral homes, so I will strike that out.
yeah, just something, what's a cleaning agency? What do we have?
That's a good question.
I have no idea.
is that like a dry clean service? Cause the way in which it says retail self-serve, oh, maybe it's.
Non-steam, so
Let's just take that out for purposes right now.
Yeah.
okay, strike it out.
And the drive-through facility, same thing, it's not even allowed in a thing, so let's just take that one out.
Okay,
Well,
Wanna leave it?
let's not go so fast on that. For instance, one could envision if there was going to be something happening 5-6 years from now along Rome Tree, where you've got kind of a commercial first floor
Yeah,
and upstairs housing. Could there not be a drive-through somewhere in that?
Yep.
Yeah.
yep.
So,
so maybe it'd be like a special exception.
well,
Yeah.
We'll just,
You know, if I do think a drive-through would be appropriate for that.
I'm
In my
not sure,
opinion,
I'm just, it's,
yeah.
right.
we don't know, I guess,
Right.
I think at this point, but I think, what I would say not to strike it, leave it in for now, and that's something we can figure out. probably down the road. Maybe that's a comment,
Okay, later. Okay,
we're not burying anybody or burning anybody.
okay, so now we're down to funeral home, so I'm gonna strike that.
Yep,
I'll strike gasoline station,
yeah,
government building,
You kind of have to keep that. It's
Okay.
like almost universally,
everywhere,
it's
right?
like, yeah, you kind of allow it everywhere because.
well,
Like if the
feds don't
state
need
or
it.
a utility wants to
Yeah.
come in and do something, we kind of.
okay?
I don't know that you have to allow a town. Building, we could ask
I
that,
think you
but
definitely,
again,
the feds have,
they can just come
they
in,
go,
yeah,
right, they trump all of this,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
States have the same,
yeah, I think so.
I think we just same thing, we just leave it for now.
Yeah, is a hospital,
Hospital, do we wanna just strike that? I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna build a hospital there.
is this, and the hospital is different from anything like. Skilled nursing care and that kind of stuff, right?
Urgent care.
Well, I'm thinking about if we're gonna do some kind of life cycle care from, independent living to. Assisted living to
This is,
nursing home,
this is,
that would fall in the
right,
hospital.
this is like one of these definitional types of questions,
You,
because
I
Okay,
skilled
believe,
care versus.
I'll look up the definition, I
yeah,
could do it now. but
I don't think that would count as hospital because we have like elderly housing, we have senior housing.
Do we have like
and I
dementia or,
think-
memory units?
Like
Like,
Glade View,
we have-
under that?
I think that's senior, I think that's
It's senior, but it's not
Elderly.
skilled nursing or any of that, was.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong,
so we'll exit.
but yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna just make a note, look at definition.
Yeah, I think that's what would be.
Okay, industrial service establishment, not non-nuisance.
Yeah, let's permit it and then, if,
It's permitted in the industrial zone.
so I think we permit it for Mariners Way for now.
Okay.
Okay. A kennel,
Say no.
Just take it out.
strike.
Same thing with the,
Same with grooming daycare.
we got that on Main Street. There's the medical.
Although, you know, I'm just thinking out loud, I mean, you have all those businesses on the gas on the north side. You know, is it? If somebody wanted to have a grooming in there or pet care, we don't wanna do that.
I don't think that's like a highest and best use of the area. That's kind of how I don't think that's like what I envision. Like
Yeah.
if there was one there already, fine.
Right, let's
that's
say
just
no and
my
have somebody argue to keep it in.
Okay, same with medical clinic, strike.
There's medical clinic and that clinic with that hospital issue. I would tie those two together, Doug, and figure out if that's part of that definition.
Okay,
Well, yeah, I guess we can talk about it. I'm just thinking, like, from my perspective, a medical clinic is something, or like a medical office would both be things that I would be more inclined to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
I actually probably wouldn't be opposed to a hospital either, like, I don't think we would get one, but I wouldn't have a problem.
Well, again, but you get, urgent care like we have out there, you get, special surgery,
Yeah.
those things are ambulatory, those things are everywhere now.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is part of medical clinics and.
I don't have a huge problem with that, maybe that's just,
So for medical clinic, we permit that right now.
well, we don't have it, I mean,
No.
I'm open to other opinions.
Yeah, it's a definite, I think that goes back to that whole thing, what is a
okay, we'll look at the definition, we'll talk about it again. So parking facility accessory to permitted use, so we'll permit that across the board.
Yep.
Printing establishment, there is one there now.
I mean, there's no reason why there couldn't be.
I would think that there's no use.
She said strike it.
I'm saying so yeah.
Okay, there's one there now. Lighthouse printers. Restaurant. Oh,
Well, maybe I'm going back to printing. Sorry. Should we leave it for now? Maybe leave it for further discussion.
I would, because that's, I mean, why not at this point?
Yeah, I'm thinking
What's the
like,
argument?
why
It's a
not?
legitimate business.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it's different than what printing used to be.
Right,
Printing used to be done, the printing presses, which don't exist anymore.
Right, but they did like that big map for us, so they do big jobs, they do huge posters and stuff.
yeah, because there are also like digital printing places
Yep.
now.
Okay, so we'll permit it.
Right,
Restaurant,
permitting.
Yeah.
okay, when we say permit it, we're talking about like a combined Mariners Ways.
Correct,
Okay,
in the new zone.
yeah, the only other thing, and I know, like, we talked about this before, but. A big piece of this is the industrial zone, so when we combine it into one, now we're moving all the stuff into the industrial zone. Where a philosophy is in Connecticut, protect the industrial zone. But we're opening it up to everything if we combine it, so we just need to keep that in
Yeah.
mind. That's why I hate to.
So here's my argument on it.
Yep.
I think as we sort, we're going to find certain uses that would be more industrial or manufacturing based than others that we may want to coalesce in one area. But let's face it, that thing's been an industrial zone for, 50 years, and it's not like you have a lot of industry that's knocking on the door saying, we want to come in. So I
No,
think-
that's a valid comment, although B&L, they've got a big piece of it and they are using it, it's.
Right,
It could probably be carved up and put all kinds of other industry in there, I'm just, I guess, voicing a.
Yeah.
something I think is gonna come up from others.
I agree, and you said that that was even, something that came out of the river club, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I think that generally the industrial uses that are looking to be, or that the state is, I could be wrong, but interested in sort of promoting and protecting are not, those are more like, I think, large scale industrial type uses. And light manufacturing and things like that, like industrial park type uses. More than
Heavy
something
industrial.
that doesn't involve a building.
Right,
Um,
yeah, so you could have industrial park activities and. you know, like,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
but I think we're still allowing those. We're just also allowing other things.
right. It's, the concern would just be the other things are gonna come in and just fill it up.
Hmm.
Especially like housing or something.
If we have that good problem, yeah, bad problem, we might be happy.
So I also think we may end up limiting where we'll allow housing.
Right. Oh, I would agree.
Right. Okay, so restaurant,
Restaurant, yes, permitted, restaurant with drive-through.
I think you keep it for now, for the reason we talked about.
yeah, the drive-through, I'll just share in planning, the vision is not lots of drive-throughs. They want people to show up and get out of their cars, and even though generationally drive-throughs are, so do we wanna permit drive-throughs or special exceptions?
I would say just leave it for now.
All right, special exceptions. Okay, retail store or shop,
Yeah.
permits,
Yeah.
roadside farm stand.
Why not?
There's another category on the next page of agricultural, I could really move it to that, but. Do we wanna permit that?
That's a good comment. Why don't we move it to there?
Okay, move it and permit it,
To, we're
agricultural,
agricultural, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by move it?
well, like on the next page.
Put it in the other category.
Instead of
Yeah,
having.
I have a category on the next page,
Yeah, okay.
agricultural.
Kind of that we talked about earlier, instead of
Yeah.
that kind of like flagging thing, instead of having it 5 times.
Yeah,
Let's just put it under one basket.
Yeah. And, okay, go back here. Okay, shopping center.
yes.
Doesn't this come down to definitions?
I mean, yeah, shopping center, I think is something like 4 or 5 or more stores. I mean, it feels like that would have to be a special exception just to.
Again, same thing, we're
So-
talking about permitting it or not permitting it.
Shopping center does have a definition in the zoning regs, like hospital doesn't. Some of the other ones don't, and you defer to the dictionary. But shopping center is a group of no less than 4 business establishments that may include retail stores, offices, financial institutions, personal services, theaters, or restaurants with a public vehicle parking area shared in common. And part of the reason for that being differentiated from like other retail is because there are different parking requirements you can claim for a shopping center, and depending on how big it is.
Okay, so we hope to have retail, if
Yeah.
somebody wants to come in and put 4 different
Right.
retail pieces in, it's a shopping center.
With shared
So-
parking, we're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say we permit it.
Okay. I just think we'll get pushback on that.
We're getting pushback every day. Every page.
Right, but it's something as big as a shopping center,
Well, that's
they're gonna wanna weigh in.
But I mean, a
It's
shopping
4
center
stores and-
can be like 4 small businesses, it
No,
can be
I
2
understand.
offices over 2
Right.
retail
But it can be large also, and
That means they still have to come into town and they gotta go through
Right.
all their hurdles and they gotta make it all happen, and we've seen how that goes.
yeah, I guess it gets into what's the difference between a permitted review and a special exception review, and special exception. I mean, you know it
Well,
better than
I
I
think,
do,
but I
but
think
then
what
you
we're,
can say, stop.
I think
we're
what
not
we're,
allowing it.
I think what we're talking about now is more getting into the design standards.
Yeah.
Because what we're really talking about is how big of a building do we want, what do we want that building to look like, and that sort of thing.
Okay,
Right, so there's other parts of this that will be limiters.
Right.
Yep. Okay, wholesale business, P.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now we're down to manufacturing. Of goods on sale for premises. So
Yeah, I think we
Permit.
can
Yeah,
do that.
manufacturing non-nuisance permit, cannabis facility expansion.
Oh,
The
expensive.
state laws on that,
Yeah.
so that might be why it's a special exception.
Yeah, maybe that's when we do leave it.
Keep it as is.
Just leave it, yeah.
Okay. So now we're down to housing. Anybody else on the call?
no,
Okay, housing, accessory apartments.
I mean, accessory apartments are typically associated with a single family home. So if anything, I would say accessory apartments for existing single family homes only or something like that.
Well, they're,
Because do we anticipate new single family homes being built? No, right?
not in this town.
So right now it's
But
side,
the accessory apartment is,
it's not in there.
What?
they have a definition, right? It's,
Yeah,
Yeah, and then right below that is
But-
accessory dwelling unit.
but what I'm saying is, oh, right, I see what you're saying, because no one's gonna build a new single family house.
Right.
Okay.
well,
So,
let's ask this question, is an accessory apartment only part of a housing unit? Or could there be upstairs of a business?
That's a different, that would just be an apartment.
Just-
that's mixed use. Right,
yeah,
All right, so
so,
versus the ADU, which is a
A
separate
second
building.
unit.
which is line, the next line.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna jump on this. So, I think the answer to accessory apartment, to me, is. In whether we are gonna do single detached dwellings for one family.
With detached is the second line.
No, I'm talking about down below, number 50, line 54.
So I'm not sure, but I think an accessory apartment is part of, it's like within the single family home, and an accessory dwelling unit is like over the garage or like a separate building on the single family lot.
Right, but if that, I guess the overarching question in my mind is, are we looking to have single family homes built on Mariners Way?
I think no.
I would
Probably no, but the existing houses, if they wanted to build a accessory apartment,
All of that is within the current zoning,
that's, there you go, right.
right?
Right, but what,
right?
so if you have a house in the current zone and you don't have an accessory dwelling now, and you wanna add one later, and it's not written as a permitted use in the zone, you would not be allowed to do it because it would be like an expansion of
So
your
we would be limiting, if we did not allow in the new zone, we'd be limiting current residential.
But two things. One is that the town has moved the whole ADU thing forward in a big way to allow for it. So you build that garage and you put the unit up top, so
The
that,
ADUs
But if
are
we-
detached.
but-
yes.
But if we've written it out, we've still written it out, that doesn't change, that if.
But if I have my existing single family home.
Right.
And I'm still under my existing single family home reg.
Right.
I can't show up here in town and say I wanna put an ADU.
I don't,
I think.
when I was a CEO,
Yeah.
I would have called it an intensification.
Yeah.
But I would also say that I think we should allow it in some capacity
Yeah.
for existing homes, so. We could either leave it, because if we don't allow new single family homes, we're not gonna get new single family homes
That's-
that can add dwelling
that's the
units
second
like you were saying. Or we just say accessory apartments and ADUs for, existing single family homes that existed as of 2026.
Right.
That's where, that's.
Right.
Okay, I got that. Put it for comments.
Yeah,
Okay, bed and breakfast establishment.
It's a business, why not?
I mean,
Okay, so you're required to live in the house.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, If
So
somebody,
for that means you can build a house and
Yeah.
have a bed and breakfast.
no, what it means is you can, a person who currently owns a house there can have a bed and breakfast within that house. But if we said there weren't any more single detached dwelling, there won't be any more new builds. So yes, it's a business, but it would only be a business in a current, in a residential,
Within a current.
right,
Okay, so it's the same as it stays for existing houses.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, good. Elderly housing, age restricted.
Leave it in there.
So, so this is a good example, you know, we're gonna permit this across the whole Mariners Way zone or carve out like that Glade View corner. the
that
end of
is,
it.
that's another discussion. This
Be
is, the
determined.
first discussion is, we're doing it with an axe, we'll come back with the scalpel.
Okay,
I think, bed and breakfast establishment, just to go back to that for one sec. It says in a dwelling, it doesn't say in a single family dwelling. I don't know about like historically how it's been treated or something, but we might wanna like sort of put a star next to that to revisit how we discuss that, only because if you have an apartment building or a multifamily, do you want someone to try to like somehow back end in
No,
a
you got-
bed
it's
and
gotta be a dwelling.
breakfast into their, right, but it's well, an apartment is a dwelling.
So it's just what you're talking about, right?
Or, you know what I'm saying, or something that's approved as an apartment, do we want someone to be able to, maybe we don't care if they can convert it to a bed and breakfast. I would wanna ask that Chris about how that
Yeah.
definition has been applied, I guess.
Good comment.
see apartment definition for bed and breakfast establishment.
Yeah, or
That's
just-
your point.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, okay, so for elderly housing,
We're gonna allow that.
Yeah,
okay, so we'll allow it. Okay. Family daycare home,
so is this for children now, or are we talking about adult daycare? Or does it matter?
I believe a home daycare is children.
Children. I think you gotta have it then, right? If you're gonna have businesses,
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe we should, yeah.
I could be wrong.
so permitted across everything?
And I would flag hotel, Doug, that's that question that where it belongs, right?
right,
Cause you've got it elsewhere earlier.
Yeah. So I have it under housing, it could be a business,
I would get it out of
business.
housing.
yeah, I put it in the business and permit.
Yep.
Okay, mixed use development. Yeah, this is one, you know, it straddles business and housing, so,
Yeah, those are, which is what we're, some of this, we're trying to
so
get
that
at.
would be P.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, multi-family dwelling.
Yeah.
Land residential development, and I've got the definition there under comments, 1 to 6 dwellings, each with 4 to 8 units.
It's
And at the last meeting, we changed it in the B4.
And I think we would have it in the Mariners Way zone.
Yeah.
We may not,
It's an apartment, type of form of
It's-
apartment.
So a PRD in the regs is one or more dwellings, each containing not less than 4 or more than 8 dwelling units. In one or more clusters of up to 6 single detached dwellings per cluster for one family. And otherwise is defined and permitted pursuant to the Unit Ownership Act of Connecticut General
Yeah, the
Statutes.
PRD has always been, has been a
But
source of
that's-
feeding it around at the state level, I know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering about like the PRDs and where we said elderly housing, age restricted housing development. So to me, and I could be wrong about this, an age restricted housing development could be like a PRD
Yeah.
or like a single family home development that's a 50 and over. So like where you build a bunch of single family houses but they're condoed maybe, or like something along those lines.
So, I mean, yeah.
And it's like, oh, you have to be 65 to, 65 and over, 50 and over. I don't really envision that being but I do think like a retirement facility or like a assisted living facility or
Senior
something
housing
like
complex.
that would be appropriate, right? So senior housing
Right, that's not good.
like seemed
Yeah.
okay to me, but maybe not age restricted housing development.
Yeah, the PRD I know has always been one of these,
It's a state thing,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, it's one of these things that
It's a
are
mess.
just,
Yeah.
that gets beat around all the time. Versus a senior housing complex where everybody goes, oh, I get that, that's
Correct.
stage, that's age
Right.
restricted housing.
Right.
So that should be permitted, and maybe we just take the PR, I don't know if we leave it on now, or we just take it off the table, that could be a question for everybody.
So we're
But
gonna permit the PRD.
Let's put a question mark with PRD, because I think at least for me, I need to know more.
Okay, and just a time check at 7:30,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
so.
Will be, so when's your heart stop?
I got right about one, two more.
Okay.
Okay, senior housing complex
That's permitted.
Yep,
and single detached dwelling for one family strike.
That, yeah. This was great, everybody, I really appreciate it, and thank you for the indulgence.
now that's
Thank
when, we will
I'll catch
stay,
up, yeah.
we'll stay and finish Doug's thing, and then we will.
Can I do it without a quorum?
Yeah, you can, it's you meetings, once you've adjourned it, you can keep going.
So we're gonna adjourn the meeting and kind of work as like a working group.
I don't think.
I'm
we
okay
do
with
that.
doing that, but I just,
Let's just we'll keep the meetings on.
Yeah, I think once you start the meeting, you can keep going.
okay,
One thing, single family detached, single family house. Do we want to again say? Allow them the existing ones so that if somebody wants to build a garage adjacent to their existing single family home, they can without getting a variance.
Yeah. But yeah, you can't do that now, I think we got all
Yeah.
that.
And this is X with asterisks.
allow existing to modify.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would just seem,
Okay,
I can see. That being a problem.
okay, so the next one's recreation.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you
Chris,
very much.
good night. You can,
Thanks, Chris.
okay, assembly hall indoor.
There's, again, assembly hall seems like such a strange terminology in today's. What's the difference?
It's, where you have a function, there's a couple in town,
Like the
Would it be like a
VFW?
nice?
by
Columbus
Pasta
thing?
Vida, there's a building.
Oh, the firemen's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like that, it's,
Okay, well, perfect, it's fine, I just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I
So,
didn't.
what the heck?
community center, permit,
Sure,
indoor rec, permit,
yeah, because we'll begin to create limits when we talk about building size and that kind of.
right? Indoor theater, strike,
Right. Well,
I mean, indoor theaters are like almost obsolete.
well, here's the question, right now, there is a indoor theater over there. Right, didn't that guy try to start up a theater in the back
Yes.
third of,
Yes. They are
so-
there, so they are there.
so it's,
Oh, it's like a stage.
It's like a
theater.
play, right,
Yeah,
not like a cinema.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of a movie theater.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Okay, so that's a good clarification, so permit,
yeah,
P, it's not a movie theater.
right,
Open space land.
Yep.
Permit, outdoor recreation facility, permit.
Yep.
Park, permit,
Mhm.
playground, permit. R&D facility, permit,
mm,
swimming facility. We rated that as a 1, I mean, that would be a big facility.
I kind of think we strike that and then either allow or don't allow it as indoor or outdoor recreation. Does that make any sense?
right, rather than having it as a separate thing.
Well, is a swimming facility, is that like a pool club, like a racket club, is that?
I would think so.
Yeah, so.
So to your point, the YMCA in Westbrook, what
Right.
is that? Is it a swimming facility or is that a recreation facility or? It's got a little
Yeah, I
bit
would
of
say
everything.
it's that's why I would just put it under recreation umbrella. I mean, maybe again, that's a question for
Okay,
Chris.
so under indoor recreation may include pool
Right.
and we'll strike the swimming facilities. Okay, agricultural uses. That's pretty broad. That's, what's that like?
Yeah.
Planting a garden,
I
livestock, farm.
I don't see any of that there.
Yeah, do we want to strike it?
Yep,
Yeah, well, that should go as where they're selling that farm on,
mhm,
off Boston Post Road. Okay, miscellaneous, public utilities, substation and telephone equipment. Is this something we need to keep in by law?
Yeah, that's something that is overseen by.
We permit it or a special exception? I mean, we seem to be shying away from a special exception.
I think if we have, in my opinion, for something like that, if we have it as special exception now and that's been deemed acceptable, I
So we
think in a way we should
control.
just leave it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, contractor yard.
I think
I would want to strike it, I guess.
yeah, but for right now, I think we'll permit it and then come back.
Okay, cause you know that, the carpool place on the way to the transfer station. Right before Bochum Road, between
Yeah.
Tractor Supply and Bochum Road. So that's a contractor yards and it looks horrible. I mean, it's a lot of space and they just throw all their stuff down. I know they need the lay down areas, but
Oh,
I don't think it's a good use of space
Well-
in Mariner's Way.
Right,
But we could leave it for now and I'll just make a note, revisit.
Maybe that would be something like we would only allow as an accessory use to like a contractor office.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
because in the same vein, I think the lot that is across the road from Mystic Market also is considered a contractor yard, and that's where he's displaying all those doors and things
Yeah,
like that.
yes.
But that's nice and
Yeah.
organized,
Yeah, so, I mean, it could be either of those, types of things, so,
Okay, so I'll just make a note, allow as accessory use
yeah.
for contractor yard.
Or we can just keep in mind too, that that can be subject to screening and design requirements.
So you want a special exception then?
No, I think,
No, I think having it associated with something is a good
Yeah.
idea.
Okay, public utilities supporting renewables, so I think this is, solar panels. Which is, we don't want there, we don't want a battery, we
No,
don't want solar panels, so it's prohibited. Data center, I added this, it's a hot topic everywhere. Stacy, you can add a definition.
no,
that conversation is before zoning,
Yeah,
a conversation about it is
Zoning.
before zoning on Monday, yeah.
huh, interesting.
yeah,
But
I
just
know
a
Carolyn
conversation.
Lyle is gonna
Yeah.
do a presentation at
Yeah.
a combined meeting next Wednesday.
Okay.
That one I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm planning to go to.
We're gonna talk about affordable housing. Okay, and telecommunications tower, I don't know if that's similar to like. Public government buildings, do we have to allow that?
Well, it's interesting because it shows that it's explicitly not allowed, right now.
Well, no, I'm
Oh, that's what
proposing
you
that
suggested.
it's not. allowed.
I believe we have to allow them because they are not subject to town jurisdiction at all. They are
It's like the
subject,
state
they're
siting.
subject to the
council.
siting council.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so
Pure remedy.
do we say permitted?
Yeah,
But would that allow like somebody private to come in and put one in?
No, because they'd still be subject to,
Yeah,
The
they,
site.
I understand Verizon and these are the big telecoms, but
I think if anybody wanted to do it, they'd still be subject to the siting council. I mean, if you wanna put in like a ham radio antenna off your house, you're allowed to do that.
okay,
But otherwise, it's any commercial tower would be.
okay, and then, I think people were putting in their own.
yeah, this is Emily's concern, so,
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid concern, I'm not sure it belongs to be
no,
codified.
no, we should take it off of our list.
Yeah, okay,
Also because our current regs kind of speak to that already.
yeah, okay, good, all right, I'll take that out, all right, that's it.
Well done, thank you.
All right.
Thanks for taking us through that. So Casey, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Could we take 10 minutes, not doing
Full blown.
a dive?
Yeah.
But just,
A shallow dive.
yeah, just talk at me
Yeah.
about what I'm looking at here.
Okay.
So that over the next couple of weeks, when
For next.
I'll know better exactly what it is.
Yes, so similarly, I provided the existing requirements in the current zones, and we can strike the marine industrial zone, I think, per our conversation. But if you want, it still gives you a sense of what that zone allows, like for comparison purposes. And that's really why I provided it, because I think it's important to keep in mind from a building and lot development standpoint, kind of like what's allowed now and that sort of thing.
It's also gonna be helpful when we go in front of zoning,
Yeah.
because they're gonna have.
Yeah.
You know, what's their basis of thinking,
Yeah,
so we know what the
Yes.
changes are.
and I think, I think the other thing is, so even like I provided information, Emily had suggested this and I thought it was a good idea, I added the incentive housing zone. Again, because those are some development types that we might consider allowing, so I think it's helpful to have an understanding of how that zone is written now. Because there's no sense in reinventing the wheel, we're kind of stealing from existing wheels and building a new wheel.
Right.
So anyhow, so that tells what the existing requirements are in each zone, and then discussion points for a new zone. That sort of like some starting point, kind of like recommendations or conversation starters. As I was going through this, I realized that, at least from the way that my brain thinks, it seemed to me that there were two types of development that we might be talking about, and that different requirements might be like necessarily apply to them in terms of what we might want to allow or not allow. So I sort of broke it down into like small development and large development with two different sets of requirements to talk about, and how that gets written out and sort of codified in the zoning regs would be something further down the line. So I think the important thing for everybody to think about is just whether or not we like the concept of that. So the idea would be, the regs would say, like, if you're building on a lot between this size and this size, kind of, and you're doing something between this size and this size, here's what you have to do. And then really, I think it's lot size. So if you're building on a lot between this size and this size, here's what you can do, here's what you have to do, in terms of lot development. If you're building on a lot that's, I said 120,000 square feet, so that's 3 acres, basically 3 acres or more. There's sort of a different way that gets envisioned in terms of what you can do and what you have to do and that sort of thing. And then I made a separate category for residential, because I think how that plays out might be different. I put mixed use as a question mark. I think, in thinking about it more, I would X the mixed use and say that if we were going to do a separate category, so whether it's as a subzone or an overlay zone or however, or it's only allowed in certain places, I think if it's mixed use, that's can play out under the other two categories. So I think it's only really needs to be different if it's only residential. And even then, we might say, it still doesn't have to be different, but I just thought it was something the group should think about. So that kind of speaks to how this was done. Now, the good thing is, I think, as I was going through this, a lot of times I at least was comfortable kind of maintaining a requirement that is similar to at least one of the underlying zones. That was sort of what I probably would start with anyhow, so at least from a consistency perspective, I think that's good. And then after sort of so we have things, lot area, frontage, height, things like that. These are not design or building form things, those Emily will talk about. These are more lot and bulk requirements. So how the lot gets designed, somewhat how the parking and landscaping get designed, how they're laid out, where things are in relation to each other on the lot. And basic buildings, like where can the building be on the lot? How big can the building be? How small can the building be? Coverage, things like that, gross floor area. So, and again, the reason I sort of ended up breaking it out, and we don't have to do it that way, but it was just how my brain kind of, because I think we're sort of envisioning two potentially different types of development depending on the specifics. When you have a very large piece, what might be an appropriate coverage is going to be different, I think, than when you have a smaller piece, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's that. And then afterwards, I made some notes about other things that are required in the regs. So there's something called the minimum area of buildable land. This just explains what can be included in it and what can't, and like sort of how it's defined. So it's things like it can't include wetlands, it can't include flood hazard areas or special flood hazard areas. Only a certain amount can be easements, only a certain amount can be ledge, because those really aren't buildable. Those portions of lot aren't buildable. So if your minimum lot area is 40,000 square feet, which is about an acre, you can't have the whole thing be wetlands, because then you would be you could theoretically create a new lot that's not usable and then say, why did you let me create a lot that isn't usable? And now you're preventing me from using it. I also, on the next page, made notes about outside storage. I kind of tried to summarize what the current requirements are, just so again, we could keep those in mind, kind of going through that. In all zones, it's not permitted in a setback from the street line, or in the setback from if it's adjacent to a residential district. So right now, as it is right now, outside storage is not permitted in a front yard. Is basically what that comes, or at least in the required front yard. In the I, it's not permitted in any setback. So again, some sort of storage of boats and vehicles for sale or rental as a permitted use must meet outdoor storage requirements. So there are some things in there now, just to keep in mind. Now, what's there is there, that's fine. But for future uses. Loading, also I noted, and then some other relevant restrictions that I thought might be applicable, again, just to keep in mind. So like there are already some restrictions on noise and fumes and causing vibrations to other property, odor, light pollution, all of those things. They are, I think, somewhat subjective, so we might want to, if we're making more things permitted uses, we might want to tighten those up a little bit in terms of how we restrict or talk about some of those potential nuisances.
So going back to when we had the property owners and business owners in, and there was a question raised about having in their mind industrial next to residential, and that, you know, you have all the noise. That's the area where you could be creating restrictions in a subzone that would then not allow.
And we can even, so you'll see in here, there is a A specific setback in each of the underlying zones and some that I've recommended for the new zone. A separate residential zone setback. So if you have a property line that's adjacent to a residential zone. This setback is usually higher than if you have two properties next to each other that are in the same zone. Now that's based on the zoning, not the use. That's something to keep in mind.
Right.
But yes, we also can, like, I think, get a little more into the nitty gritty in terms of how. When we're allowing some of these uses, what they can and can't do in terms of what might impact others.
So when you say on the lot and bulk requirements, the minimum lot area is up to an acre. Does that mean? That there's no subdivision of that to allow different activities on that?
No, all that means is the lot itself. So if you create a lot, it has to be at least that big.
Oh.
It doesn't mean you can condo. You can condo buildings on the property, whether they're commercial, and that's a pretty commonly done thing, especially with like shopping centers, or even if you just have multiple buildings, a lot of times like the buildings are individually owned. And there's an association that owns the land or something like that. You could rent out, different, so the uses are what decide that the uses and kind of the layout that we require, but no, that's the actual lot has to be 40,000 square feet.
Okay.
So you can't create a property line that.
Got it. What you do within that, different question.
Right.
Okay. All right, that's all helpful.
So I don't know, is that enough for now?
I think so, because I think we need to get more people in the room to get into details, but it helps me for thinking about this over the next couple of years.
I also did start to make some notes about some existing properties in town and how big they, like what they have, so I could give everybody a sense of like, this building that we're all familiar with, or this property that we're all familiar with, this is how big it is, this is how much project it is, that sort of thing. So I did start to do that, and I will, it's all in my handwriting right now, so I'll type it up and get it to everybody, but I thought that would.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that one of the things that's hard for me to kind of, when we talk about something that's 40,000 square feet or 150 feet,
Yeah.
just trying to think about.
Like, what is that? Yeah.
Compared to what?
Yeah, and if there are any properties you'd want me to look at in particular, I can. I looked at.
And would your table include parking requirements?
I didn't go there yet because I think parking requirements are are another discussion.
Okay.
But
Emily did cover mine.
yeah, no, I think that's the next, like parking requirements and signs, Emily and I, like those
Okay.
two things. Aren't in here because I think they are worthy of their own conversations.
Okay.
But I did include in here some of the landscaping requirements for a parking lot.
Okay.
But not like how many spaces per, how many square feet of a use.
Yeah, because we had talked a lot about, community parking, shared parking.
Yeah, and I think that is something we should really.
Dig into.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so those are TBD.
all right, this is great,
Right.
kickoff.
Keep you busy?
Yeah, so we are not gonna meet on the 27th, but we will. Bring ourselves back together after Labor Day, but this, I think, has gotten us moving down the pike very nicely.
I'm glad we got so far with the uses today.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work.
And I think we can, we're all beginning to get a good picture of.
Yeah.
What we wanna see there.
Yeah.
So with that, I will, unless there's other comments that you guys have, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Great, thank you very much.